And by here, I'll fire things up. All right. Video is live. Stand by for audio.
All right.
All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today I am bringing on a gentleman that once again, I'm just keep meeting people through networking. And we had a past co-host who got me connected to this guy. This guy ended up adding me into his Facebook community. I think I've added him into my Facebook community. But real quick background on this gentleman, besides the fact that he lives in a very beautiful, sunny place, he's a regular guy, man. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a retired Army medic. He's from the Department of the Army Operations Specialist. He's a podcast host of the Men of Abundance podcast. I love that word, abundance. But he was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. For you guys who follow the show regularly, I fought wildfire out there, so I know Arizona well. And he joined the Army to travel the world, and escape what was clearly a destructive lifestyle. And I can't wait to dig into that because I think each of us in our lives have gotten a little destructive, whether we liked it or not. But this gentleman has traveled 23 countries, 5 continents. I mean, he and his family have lived in Panama, Germany, Arizona, Texas, North Carolina. And as I hinted, currently lives in Hawaii. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Wally Carmichael.
Scott, man, it is truly my pleasure and honor to be here talking with you, man.
I'm feeling extra abundant, just fired up and having you on the show, man. We've been staying in touch over the social media.
Yeah, and that's the effect I want to have on people, man. Redefining abundance and showing you just exactly what it really means and can mean in your life.
Well, it's powerful because, I told this to somebody the other day, man, you're on social media a lot. And I said, yeah. I was like, so what do you mean by that? And they said, well, I just noticed you're on a lot. I was like, okay, what's your point? And he said, well, I don't know. I just want to point that out, I guess. I was like, thanks. I was like, are you enjoying it? He said, well, yeah, most of your stuff's pretty crazy. He's like, I can't even keep up with your lifestyle. He's like, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing a charity event, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so it's all good, right? And he said, well, yeah, I guess so. I said, okay, well, so would you rather have me sharing a bunch of negative, self-destructive crap, which a lot of people are on social media, or complaining and whining, or is it cool if I continue trying to change the world one post at a time? And he's like, oh, I never really thought about it that way. Yeah. So I wanted to share that with you real quick because I'm sure you've experienced some of this because you and I are very, very active in the online space.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on just about every platform out there and have tried to others. And, you got the trolls out there and the haters and stuff. But when you break it down just like you just did, Scott, I mean, they're like, okay, yeah. I mean, I can either post, 2 girls fighting in the front yard and ripping each other's hair out, or I can post, somebody else doing amazing things. And generally, I post a few things about my own life, but I really love lifting up other people and posting what they got going on in life, like stuff that you're posting. I repost that on Twitter, on Facebook. Those are my primary channels, but I absolutely love lifting others up and showing other people. I just posted a 4-star general who started his first job as a bag boy in Germany. And he went back to that same place where he had that first job. And the guy who trained him some 30 years ago is still working there training other baggers.
Get out.
And he bagged, and the general sat there and bagged groceries for about an hour for other airmen and soldiers. And it was just amazing to see. And he's, had a great conversation with the guy. So I like posting stuff like that,
That's pretty cool. That was one of my first jobs.
Is that right?
I'm not kidding you, man. I lived on a farm, and I actually went and worked at a dairy farm from 14 to 16. Then I got my license so I can actually go a little bit further. And then I ended up getting a job at a grocery store chain called Laneco back in the day. It was here. And it's, I was a cart pusher and a bagger for my very, very first, on the books job, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah. I've done many jobs, but I haven't actually done that one. I've done it as kind of a volunteer. We would do it as fundraisers in the military. We'd go to the local commissary and, whatever we bagged, we got to, keep the tips and whatnot and go into the unit fund and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, you never know. That's why I crack up with people. Sometimes hey, if you're lucky enough to have only one job or career or business your entire life, actually, I'll correct myself. I'm not sure if that's lucky or not, because you're not really experiencing a breadth of life experience. And I've been around the block. I've worn many hats, and I'm only 39. So, at first I used to be concerned myself years ago. I'm like, am I lacking focus? Where am I going with my life and stuff like that? And then eventually once you go through enough self-development and you realize that this is life and you're living it. And if you if you realize that you're not enjoying what you're doing and you want to try a different hat on, freaking go for it, man. Like that's what life's about. We should be taking those risks and taking those challenges. And like yourself, choosing to move around, look at the world, not just around the country, around the world.
Yeah.
That's not easy for a lot of people to even fathom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To relocate your family. I mean, I literally moved in 25 years. My family and I moved every 3 to 4 years. That was relocated to another state or country. Within the state, we would often move 2 to 3 different times just because of, we didn't like the area we were in, the schools. Number one priority is always the school. So that's the first thing we look for.
But put the kiddos first.
Yeah, put the kids first, and that's just the most important thing to us. But yeah, absolutely. That experience of relocating, even my boys, they're more well-rounded. You talk to these guys, even when they're young, adults are like, God, having a conversation with your 7-year-old's like, I'm just blown away because he knows so much stuff. And unfortunately, he hasn't traveled as much than my youngest one because he's been in Hawaii his entire life. But the other two, the 22-year-old and the 18-year-old, one was born in Panama. The other one was born in Germany. And they've been all over the world with us. So
wow.
They get it.
Well, that's actually pretty powerful too for a child. I mean, some people may look at that as like, oh, that's very stressful on a child, right? Because they don't really have a sense of home or something like that. I'm like, I moved around a lot as a kid too, not because of military, but nowadays I look at it, I'm like, hey, home is where the heart is. I know that's kind of cheesy because people throw that around, but it's like, if your parents are there, everybody's healthy and you're there on a holiday dinner, who cares if you grew up in that house or not? It's all about in the moment, right? Where the family is, everybody's safe, everybody's healthy. So you can make a home anywhere at any point in time. And if you have to move, you move. Roll with it.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for folks who stay in one spot for a long time. You get to know the community and whatnot. But the military is a community. And we just inherently take care of each other. You move into a new neighborhood, immediately people are coming over and saying, hey, if you need anything, I know your household goods aren't going to be in for a couple more weeks. Need any pots and pans? Don't go out and buy any. We do that every time we move, buy new curtains, new pots and pans, new, cleaning supplies. Just come let us know. We'll hook you up, in the time being.
It sounds like it's kind of like a standard startup package, right? It's like, okay, man, transplant, boom, here's your kit. I feel like somebody should market that. Like, hey, man, I'm about to move across the country, around the world. Like, all right, I'm just going to drop ship your startup kit. Everything's just going to roll right in. I mean, I know you guys have like those, I forget what are the stores on the bases called? Yeah,
the PX. It depends on what branch you're in. It's either a PX, but basically a post exchange.
Yeah. So, which is, long story short, just a giant grocery store / department store. Like it's kind of everything all in one, right?
Well, the PX is more of like a Kmart, if you will, that happens to be on post. It's AFES. It's Army Air Force. For Army and Air Force, it's Army Air Force. Army Air Force Exchange is what it is.
Gotcha.
And then for the Navy, it's the Navy Exchange. But it's basically like a Kmart, and some of them have a little bit of food, kind of like a Kmart does. But then we have a separate commissary, which is just all of our groceries.
Okay. Yeah. So the commissary is the grocery store. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember all the terms because I've talked to a few military people in my day, and I'm like, all right, well, there's a verbiage, right? There's protocol. There's all this different vernacular you have to learn, different acronyms.
Right. And as a side note, we joke about this all the time. You can go get on post. You just got to go show your ID and stuff like that. And, to the gate up there and get your insurance and all that kind of stuff, registration for your vehicle. But do not try to get into that commissary. You will not get into that commissary.
Really?
I'm telling you right now, those people that are at that front door, if you don't have a military ID, and they check those. Because there's been history of people, especially overseas, where folks will lend each other's IDs to each other or stuff like that so they can go in and get some, those high dollar items, diapers and
stuff because obviously things are trying to be subsidized and make things more affordable for the active military. Correct. So Correct. General Joe Public is going to be like, hey, man, let me your ID. I want to save a few bucks.
Yeah. Cigarettes, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I get it. Sure. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I wish they didn't discount cigarettes. Just me being the health nut. I'm like, okay.
Me too. You and me both.
You know what? You want to discount diapers? That's cool. But let's go big picture on that. I mean, and actually, just coming from that abundance mindset, the whole pay it forward community, which is your tagline on your website, but it's like, back to and another tag on your site, which I love I'm throwing out right now, is like enhancing your mindset to get you the relationships, income, and life you deserve. So it's like when I see little platforms or systems in place, like we were just talking about, I'm like, are we really enhancing their mindset the right way? Where it's like, okay, we're just going to discount everything. I'm like, I don't know. Like who's overseeing that? A healthy mindset also comes back to a healthy body. That's how I look at that. So if I want the life that I know I deserve, I would expect to also be a super healthy person being active military. But I've heard all kinds of stories. A lot of people justify it as, well, it's stressful. I need to go smoke a cigarette for stress. So I'm like, or you just go to a yoga class. I mean, there's lots of other options to de-stress. I don't know. Can you talk to any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always doing, we're always in, depending on the organization you're in, they're definitely more stressful than others, depending on the time frame of that organization, whatnot. But I work at Triple Army Medical Center, and within MedCom, the medical command, all medical centers are smoke-free campuses.
Awesome.
Now, that being said, there are certain areas where they do recognize that people are going to smoke, so they have them set off to the side, 1 or 2 different locations where they can smoke. Now, I'll tell you, my tripler is attached to the veterans, to the VA hospital.
Okay.
You're not telling them old dudes not to smoke, man.
Oh, hell no. I also respect the fact you got to respect your elders, especially elders who have been active in war, multiple wars.
Yes.
It's like, you're not telling them what to do.
Yeah, you're not telling them what to do. So they got their little smoking area, but the military and MedCom specifically is trying to lead the way in a smoke-free environment. Yeah. And there's a lot of other initiatives that we may get into here that the military really tries to be the forefront of that. They've banned certain supplements and stuff from, let me rephrase that. There are no banned supplements in the military. But what they've done is they've not allowed certain, within the PX, within the post exchange, they've allowed certain things to not be sold in the PX. Now, within the PX, there's a GNC, and they have all kinds of stuff in there that they sell. So over the course of time, they've tried to ban certain these energy drinks.
Yeah, because no offense, I will never step foot into a GNC again. I've talked about this multiple times. But again, they've got the marketing and the branding power to say, well, we're bigger than everybody. So they can convince the government and say, oh, well, they got to be the right partner, right? Yeah. To try and get our people healthy. But the problem is, I can speak to this, GNC does not do any research or reinforcement into what they're putting on the shelf. It's just a lot of white labeled crap and relabeling, and the sourcing of the ingredients isn't right. And unfortunately, I was one of those people years ago. I didn't know any better. I just assumed that, well, it's GNC. They're everywhere. Yeah. I can trust them. So
yeah, and the government allows it, so it must be good, 100%. It drives me nuts every time I see a GNC, and they're in every single PX. Oh yeah. And I walk by, and I know you're an isogenics guy. I'm a Beachbody guy. Yeah. I've done for years. I've done the research on various supplements, and I'm like, the stuff that you guys are putting in your body is not what it's marketed to do. They're great marketers.
And until you become self-educated, we don't know. And because I had a past episode, my buddy of mine's an ER doctor here where I live, and he's also a Beachbody guy. So it's funny. I was like, listen, we need to sit down at Starbucks, and you and I, we could prove to the world that isogenics people can talk to Isobody people. I was like, because this is big picture. We need to start educating people that, listen, you got a good platform, I got a good platform. You got good ingredients, I got a good ingredients. The stores like Vitamin Shop and GNC do not. Okay.
Exactly.
That is a retail storefront. Okay. So all the extra overhead and costs it takes to cover those stores, that marketing, those commercials, everything is just more dollars being removed from proper ingredient research, design, etc. So I can support you and reinforce you, sir.
Yeah, we can sit and have this conversation for days. And I feel the same way. The whole thing about the network marketing industry, there are so many people out there that are so passionate about their company, and I absolutely love to see that. Sure. But not when it's to the extent that you're willing to beat up somebody else because of what they align with in their mind and where they're at in life.
Well, I'm a business professional. I teach people that. I'm like, guys, there's plenty of people out there to help. Don't worry about it. Never talk, and this is a sales and marketing 101 lesson, never, ever turn down or negatively speak about your competitor. You could just say, listen, you know what? Yeah, that's good company too, but here's why you want to work with me. And that's it. You don't need to bash the other company. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that. They fall into that trap of the competitive game. I need to compete against you. And it's like, guys, you're never going to win that battle.
Mm-hmm.
You should be spending time focusing on what that person in front of you needs, what they're looking for, and how you can help them.
And here's the way I look at it. I get people constantly contacting me. Now, for me with Beachbody, I'm not as much of a business builder as I was years ago. I've been associated with them for 8-9 years. I've worked out with Sean T. I've met him. I've met all those folks, Tony Horton and stuff, and it's a really cool experience. But when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want you to check out my company and do this, it's like, look, you're coming to me like I'm a married man. Let's say you're female. If this is a female come to me and you're saying, I'm better than your wife, come hang out with me, divorce your wife, let's get married.
Right.
That's what you're doing. Yeah. And I'm like, don't do that. And people do the same thing with religion as well. It's just not an attractive thing to do.
I agree. It's like, and we're not going to dwell on this subject. We don't need to, because it's not really why we do our podcast, right? But this is let's be real. We're being transparent. It's a part of who we are. You and I, through different platforms and different businesses, have helped people over the years with health and wellness. Okay. And maybe a little business on the side, but not everybody wants that. And that's cool. At least I've aligned myself, and I've chosen to align myself with something that I know I can trust and rely on. That's it. You know? So yeah, and I agree with you. Like, I had a bigger business team built up, but since I have other businesses and I do consulting, everything else going on, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to be 100% Isogenics guy. I realized that years ago. I'm like, it's always going to be one of my side income streams, because I love helping people get healthy. That's it. And if people want to work with me, great. But I'm not going to dwell on it. And I'm not going to sit there and chase people like, oh, you should leave that company. I'm like, you know what? I just tell people, like, cool, man. All right. I wish you luck with that. If you're ever looking for a better team to work with, I'm here for you. But as long as they keep kicking ass and taking names and you're having fun and you love that, and their ingredients stay proper and their products stay pure and clean, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. So that's 100%. It. 100%. I've had people try and get me to come over to that Thrive company. I'm like, no, dude. I don't use magic patches. I actually focus on things I can consume. But that's, again, we're not talking down the competition. But I mean, let's be real. This is about the bigger picture, right? Let's get back on point here.
Let's do it.
That abundance mindset, right? You and I have some common ground here. We would work with separate companies as far as healthy network marketing companies, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Point is, we have these different elements of our lives that we have added in over the past few years that have helped us grow the mindset piece. Because I joke around all the time that my company helped me become an entrepreneur. Like, the whole Isogenics thing, it wasn't just, I got healthier and I was able to help other people get healthier. And it was fun having the side income stream and stuff too. But I realized, I'm like, holy crap, it was like a self-development company. I really partnered with a company that has great healthy products, but it's actually a mindset and a self-development company. Every time I went to an event, I came out like high on life and all these new ideas to improve my mindset and do self and professional development. I don't know about you. Sounds like you probably have the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But mine started many, many years ago, man. I was an Amway distributor for 5 years when I was in Germany.
Oh, you're old school. Okay.
I'm old school, brother. Wow. I used to go door to door, man. I used to be in the PX or the local mall and saying, hey, what's your name? How you doing? The five, the family, all that kind of stuff. Break them all down. And I'd just get some phone numbers and then call them later. We'd all sit around as a team on Sunday and call everybody. Put my suit on after work and go knock on, go show the plan, And, but you're absolutely spot on. Any of these companies, they're really personal growth companies disguised as a fitness company, disguised as a travel company, disguised as a candle, makeup, you name it company. And anybody who has any fear of talking to people, think they're not a salesperson, think they want to be a salesperson, I would say one of the best things to do is get on a good team with a quality company and just start learning what they're thinking and reading what they're reading, doing what they're doing. Because it gets a negative connotation because people get so excited about their company and their product and they just get overzealous and they don't do it the right way.
Well, and it happens to everybody. And maybe probably you and I, when we first found that type of stuff, because we didn't know any better, right? I mean,
absolutely.
It's exciting you find something that's just different, right? Whether you work for the government or you work for a job, a regular job, just over broke. It's, it's like you're used to just having to go to work. And it's like, now I could do this from anywhere. And I have amazing products or solutions or services. Like you said, there's companies out there that do travel and everything else. And it's like, guys, it's like if you're a travel junkie, then maybe a health and well, I mean, I truly think that a health and wellness solution company, like whether it's yours or mine, is right for everybody because everybody should be getting healthier. But if you really geek out on travel, then you should probably be partnering with a travel company that has very, very good, we'll just say ethics, and helps you fuel that fire, for the passion you have, whether it be travel or, like you said, health and wellness or building business or building teams, whatever. That's what we're talking about here is like, you know what, at least open your eyes and your ears to other platforms out there, because the average person who's working a regular 9-to-5 job or the third shift, whatever, there's no professional development in there. They're going to train you and teach you enough to do your job. That's it. And I know because I used to be coaching and developing people in the corporate world, and we did just enough to let them succeed in that job, in that career, in that company. It wasn't bigger than that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true in most cases, for sure. And the other thing that I will say, one thing that I'll say about the whole industry, as far as any type of business that you get into, is be careful how they're selling it. Because here's the reason why I got into this whole abundance thing. Was for many years, the reason why I got started with Amway was because within 3 months I was supposed to be making $100,000 a year, and so on. And, they bashed the job and they bashed all this, my way of life. And I thought, the way they sold it, I was like, that sounds great to not work and make $100,000 a year. That'd be amazing. Right. And I did that for many, many years. And my wife was always like, Wally, what are you chasing? Why, you got everything you need right here. And she said it over and over again. Then it was about 3 or 4 years ago now, I just made this realization. I have a very healthy family. My job's been great to me. I retired from the military 2.5 years ago. I live in Hawaii. I've been in Hawaii for almost 8 years at this point. Right now, I walk across the street. I'm on the beach. And I have this amazing life that most people dream of and never realize in their entire lives. And I just realized that I'm living this life of abundance. And I bring all that up because the thing you got to realize is I was always saying, well, when I make $100,000 a year, which I make over that now with all my income streams and my job and everything else, when I get there or when I get to 7 figures, I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this, or I'll hang out with my kids more when I get to this, get to this level financially. And I just realized you don't need that. You can do that at any income level. And all the people that I talk to are men of abundance. Look at somebody like Chris Guillebeau, who's traveled to every single country in the world. And he did that
guy's
initially.
Got a great story.
Yeah, and he did that initially by hanging out in Africa doing some humanitarian work, right? And he had 80 countries in before he even started his blog. Yeah, and started making money while he was traveling, type of stuff. So there's just so many stories out there and so much proof that you don't need a 6- and 7-figure income to live a life of abundance. You just got to enhance your mindset.
Yeah, and actually, while you're saying that, I'm actually going to bring up your site and do a little screen share for our video people. But again, guys, so our listeners, menofabundance.com. But right there, he's talking about enhancing your mindset, as I already said, to get you the relationships, the income, and the life you know you deserve. But again, what Wally just said here is, dude, you can embrace that now. Stop doing the when game, as you were hinting at, when this, when that. It's like, guys, I love the fact that if you scroll down a little bit on your site, Men of Abundance, reject the scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset, I find, is being brought up a lot more nowadays by a lot of public speakers, a lot of mindset people, because I think it's because we want everything now, that one of the unfortunate negative side effects of that is everybody is living in the scarcity mindset. Can you talk a little bit about that from your inspiration behind Men of Abundance, like why you decided to throw that right on the homepage?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the opposite of abundance is scarcity. And that's true in everything in life. So as we were just talking about earlier, and we'll kind of stay on that subject because it's fresh, is the difference between our companies. There are so many people out there that need help. And I don't care how they get help, as long as they align with something that they feel is going to help them. And we're talking about their physical condition, their health and fitness. Yes. And I really don't care. And even within my company. If somebody wants to go with another coach or something like that, I'm like, perfect. Let me introduce you to them because I want you to get help. More is going to come to me. And here's what happened when I made that abundance mindset, when I enhanced my mind and started making the abundance, getting away from the scarcity and bringing on this abundance mindset. So much more that was actually already in my circle. It was near me. I wasn't able to see it because I had this scarcity mindset. I was like, I got to get all this. I got to get all this. Once I started giving it out and I started paying more attention to my immediate family, paying more attention to friends, paying more attention to business owners who weren't even aligned with me, I'd meet somebody and say, you got to know this guy. Next thing that happened was people started introducing people to me and putting people in my life that could help me get where I wanted to go. And so much more started coming into my life. And it was noticeable immediately. And it just keeps growing. It just keeps continuing like that.
I love you bringing that up because one of the side effects of growing the podcast is I already, get a little high off of the networking fun. Like I use the power of LinkedIn and Facebook and things like that to try and get people interconnected. It's not just trying to grow my friends list. And now one of the side effects of launching a podcast that continues to grow is that even I might not have, 500,000 downloads yet, right? It's not about the number, but the power of bringing on amazing co-hosts. And that's why I designed my show this way, like yourself, bringing people like yourself on, is that as I get to know you guys more with our listeners, I actually it's like sitting down for a cup of coffee or you're out having great conversation. It's like we're literally listening to each other right now, learning more about each other's lives. And then even if it doesn't happen right here, right now, I know in the next 24, 48 hours, I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to get that person connected with so-and-so. Or, you know what? So-and-so would be great to go on Wally's show. And I've already been doing that now. I've actually set one of my new goals is every co-host I come on, I have to find a way to get them connected to somebody. And it's usually a past co-host because you never know how it's going to help feed people. I've had authors on. I've had PhDs, biologists. It's like, so people who give a crap about health and wellness, great. I've got some people with way more influence and way more knowledge than I have that I could potentially help bring on, get on somebody else's show to reinforce the value of that subject, for example. And that way it's not me like holding them captive. Like, hey, yeah, I've got all their phone numbers and emails because of my onboarding system. So it's a private network. I have a database now. But I could be selfish and hold on to that. Or I say, great, I have everybody's emails. Why can't I just send a quick email saying, hey, so-and-so, you guys should chat. And here's why. And then I walk away. That's it. If they happen to respond, great. I hope they do. But that's the power of what you and I are doing here online is that if we continue to build success in this abundance mindset, I'm not worried about keeping that database on lockdown. If anything, like you hinted at, that database is going to grow because I've helped other people get connected to other people. And that's going to keep going. And I truly believe the universe will bring that back to me and my audience.
Yeah, 100%. All day long. Didn't you recently have a conversation with Cole Hatter?
Yeah, I finally got him on, man. We were joking around on the show because he's like, you've had 16 Thrive-related podcasts. I was like, yeah. And he's like, what? Before we hit record, he's like, I don't understand how you didn't get me on yet. I was like, Cole, I reached out to you 2 to 3 times minimum. Actually, probably more like 5 in the private Facebook community. And he's like, well, it's not like I'm the president or anything. And I was like, well, this was the first time that I finally messaged him privately on Instagram. I've never done that. I usually tweet. And I was like, listen, who do I got to reach out to get you on? I've brought on like half your audience. and he's like, oh, we'll reach out to my assistant. Let's get it scheduled. And within a week, he was on the show.
That's awesome.
This goes back to the power of the sales and marketing thing. I always tell people, like, treat it like a sale. You can't just like follow up 3 times and then give up. You just got to keep going, man. He just got added into my roster of follow-ups. So we finally got to sit down and have a great episode. And that's live already earlier this week. But yeah, Cole Hatter, man.
That's where I heard it. And I'll tell you what, here's something else for your listeners that are, trying to get connected with influencers. Here's how you get connected with people like Cole Hatter. You find out who controls their calendar.
That was it.
I'll have to tell you, and in his case, it's Sonia. It's his wife.
Well, he didn't connect me to Sonia, though.
Right, but that's what happened with me. Somehow, some way, I don't know how, because of our interconnection with something. Sonia shot me a Facebook message because I have no women on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Only women that you'll see on my Facebook that are friends. There's
Yeah.
followers, but our friends are family members.
Mm-hmm.
So Sonia, when I get a message, it says you have a Facebook, a messenger request.
Right.
Sometimes I'll look at them. Usually the time I just delete them. And for some reason I looked at it and I opened it up and I said, wait a minute, I know that last name.
Yeah.
Because I already knew about Cole. And she sent me this. Oh, I'll read the message anyway. And it wasn't like obviously a pickup line. Hey, I want you to give me a call type of thing. But it was like, hey, my husband's Cole Header. He wants to, I want to get him on your show. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so that was how him and I got connected. And then, but it took a little bit for us to get connected because of our calendars, because he was putting Thrive together and everything, as a matter of fact. And Thrive in this case is his Thrive conference, which you've been to a couple of times, man. Yeah. Making money matter. Amazing, amazing story. But I say that because, and then from that connection, I got so many other connections because they're just hugely abundant people. They brought up goodness, now I'm going to draw a blank on their names. The Bailey's.
Nicholas Bailey and his
Nicholas.
Yeah, his wife.
Yeah, Nicholas and his wife. I had both of them on the show.
Yep, they've been on. Nicholas has been on my show. Yep.
Yeah, great folks, great guys with the $1 billion body.
Well, it's funny. There we go. There's the list of all of the people I've had on that I met thanks to Thrive.
Awesome.
So
yeah, because you've had on a bunch of the speakers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, most recently, right before Cole Hatter, I aired John Spencer Ellis. So and he spoke, right? And then I had on people like Tommy Baker. You already said Nicholas, Ellery Wells, PJ Dixon, who's going to be a speaker this year. He was on. Mm-hmm. So here's the best part. At the end of Thrive last year, at the end of the end of the event, I'm hanging out, I'm networking, we're just relaxing. Everybody's like, hey man, we're gonna go down and grab a bite, a late night dinner. I sat down with Cole and his wife and the whole inner circle and had dinner with them. And I still took this long to get him on my freaking show.
What the heck, man?
I was like, am I screwing something up here? I was like, dude, we literally broke bread. I didn't eat bread, but like the whole concept of breaking bread together. Like we closed out the event together. Like what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. No,
that's pretty cool that Sonia actually reached out to you. So that's awesome.
It was cool. I was very humbled, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, are you making it to Thrive this year?
I am not. In fact, as Cole offered me a ticket. He offered me a seat.
Wow.
But yeah, I've got some stuff going on right now that I'm relocating my family. This is the first just being told publicly, but I'm relocating my family. I'm staying. We got some stuff going on. My family's going to be hanging out in Florida for a little while, and I'm going to hang out here for a couple more months to get some stuff done. We're doing some split ops. Nothing outside of the norm for my family after, but although it's been 2.5 years since we've been separated. But yeah, we just got she's got some stuff she wants to do with my boys in Florida.
Cool.
I'm just going to hang out here.
Well, and that's pretty powerful that a family has built that fortitude to know that, hey, you know what? We can do that too. Like, right? Let's put the kids first. If stuff needs to get done for these guys in Florida, one of us has got to take them there. And so are you actually going to consider leaving Hawaii altogether, or no, this is just like a interim transition thing? No,
eventually I'm going to join them down in Florida.
Oh, wow. Where in Florida?
It's Tampa area.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to link up with Chris Kermitzos and a couple other folks while I'm down there, because they do their Tuesday podcast.
And Neil, I've had him on the show once or twice now. I think twice, because Neil and I are speaking in a couple of weeks at the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference here outside of Philadelphia. So, and Neil did all the production for Chris on that movie. So, are you familiar with Neil Golarte?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're all overlapped. So
we are. And sometimes I talk to people. I'm like, when I get them on the show, I'm like, wait a minute, how do we get connected? Because at this point, I don't hardly reach out to most people.
Well, do you know how you and I got connected?
I don't.
Because I had to take a second right before we got on today. Dan Marr.
Oh yes.
Out of the UK.
Yeah.
He brought you up while we were recording our episode, and I got connected through Dan Marr. Because of Mark Asquith, who helped co-found this podcasting platform that my website is on, the podcast websites that John Lee Dumas invested in. And I met Mark at last year's MapCon, Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference, where I met Neil. And so it's like all overlapping. And I forget what we were talking about, but he brought up a really cool guy that you had on your show. I don't know. The guy had a crazy story. And he's like, man, I got to get you connected to Wally because Wally's got this cool Men of Abundance thing. And I'm like, yeah, man, let's hook it up. And then, it's been a little while since then. And you and I, finally getting connected now. So
yeah, that was a while ago because Mark, I'm one of the founding members of podcast websites.
Oh,
and I'm not one of the founders or anything, but one of the initial members.
Yeah.
And Mark's been on the show. He's been on the show, but him and I communicate quite often. And he got me in contact with Dan.
Okay.
That's
there you go.
See, there we go.
Well, and it's funny, actually. Now I remember how I got connected with Dan. Mark had put a post in his excellence community,
right,
about, hey, does anybody help anybody? And I'm like, yeah, man, if I can help anybody get airtime and bring them on the podcast, here's my show because I had a new show and all that, and that's how I got connected to Dan. And then Dan obviously brought you up. So there you go. So small world.
Indeed.
Well, so are you still on the platform?
I am, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been considering actually having a little redesign done because I designed my site myself on their platform. I'm considering going back there and saying, maybe I'll actually pay their guys and see what they would do to do things differently. I don't know.
That's what I did. I started doing it myself. And then I was like, this is just taking too long because I was learning. I absolutely am just crazy about learning this stuff. But I just came to the realization that I already knew, look, this is not important for me to learn. It's important for me to maintain, but not to build. So I just said, you know what, guys, here's my money.
Yeah.
Here's my plan. Here's what I want. It took about what was taking me 3 to 4 months, took me a couple weeks back and forth, and they just hooked me up, man. And I think I get compliments on the site often. And,
well, it's interesting.
Functionality.
This is a funny little story for our listeners, guys. Like what we're talking about right now is a classic example of the intro to entrepreneurship, right? As an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, I'll use my boy Michael O'Neill's term, but you can waste, or I should say, invest or waste a lot of time trying to wear all the hats. And because usually it's just you. And for me, I already knew a little bit about but basically WordPress. I'd already been working on a couple of sites for fun, just dabbling in it. And then I was using that knowledge to start working on my girlfriend's business's site. Or actually, sorry, now fiance. So podcast website made it easy. It was drag, drop, et cetera. And they just helped me do a couple turnkey things, but I never did go back and invest. And it's like, I'm like you right now where I was like, you know what? What is my time worth? And a lot of us look at those expenses and it's like, oh man, I got to pay a bunch of money out. But if you break it down, do you care if you're a master web editor designer using the podcast website's platform? No. So if you could outsource that and just pay somebody to do that for you and they're not raking you over the coals and maybe just a couple tweaks here and there, do it. Focus that extra time on making money or, and building that abundance mindset, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So you sounds like you had that right from the get-go.
Yeah, and it went a little bit deeper as I started looking into it. I wanted it to be all SEO friendly. I wanted it to be fast, and there's just things you don't know that you don't know. And when it comes to building these websites, unless your podcast is about building websites, then you want to say, hey, the website you're looking at is the website I built. I can do something similar for you. You have no business building a website.
Right.
But in the beginning, if you're bootstrapping, if you don't have a whole lot of cash to throw at it, you're either going to spend time or money. Just be prepared for it.
Well, like I said, big picture out of that, what you and I are talking about right now is what is your time worth to you? And you got to eventually, for our listeners, guys, like this is part of that, whether you're a man or a woman trying to find that abundance mindset, that's one of the things I've had to learn over the years. Like I joke around, I call it the freedom trifecta, which is, you're looking for time, location, and financial freedom, right? Those 3 big picture items. So you have to start assigning a value. And sometimes it's easy to assign it as a dollar value, but I mean, that's the world today. But it's like, okay, well, what is my time worth? Okay. Would I rather be working on my website or out on a mountain bike ride or working on my website or having to edit? Like I don't even edit my episodes. I use a guy in Bosnia. I outsource to him and he does the editing and boom, 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 boom. We upload files back and forth and I don't have to worry about sticking an intro and an outro on. Is it that hard? No. Do I want to do it? No. So I just have a guy do that for me and he's not expensive at all because he's in Bosnia. So the US dollar is powerful over there. So I don't mind paying him a couple of bucks because he appreciates those couple of bucks. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I was in Bosnia for a couple months, but I need you to connect me with that guy or something like that, because that's my first thing. I'm still doing everything after a year of doing this, and 13 episodes posted at this point. But I've gotten to at first, I was that guy that I would edit everything in the conversation as much as I could, a little sounds here and there. Now I'm just like, just let it go. Like we were talking about pre-show. It's like, this is a podcast. It's not a produced radio show. Personally, I don't listen to NPR podcasts. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to listen to NPR, I turn on the radio. That's my take on it. And I know they're only the top podcasts out there because they got all the money they already have millions. They already had a huge audience.
They already had the audience. Exactly. When you already have an audience that's a captive audience, when you launch something new, you're guaranteed a certain percentage of rollover. People are going to roll right into that and check it out. Right. So yeah, of course they're going to crush us because they have that captive audience. But I agree with you. It's like, guys, podcasting is different. It's supposed to be intimate. Okay. I can't stand over edited shows. What's the founder of LinkedIn? Reed.
Yeah. I know it.
Blanking on his full name, but Reed, multi-millionaire. But he launched his own podcast recently. It is so edited, I can't stand it. It was like sound effects and beeps and bloops, and I'm like, it's so distracting. I'm like, dude, just have the conversation, man. This whole electronic, I get it. You're from the geeky IT techie world, but I'm like, I don't want to hear all that crap. But then, granted, maybe he's not trying to connect with me. He's trying to connect with the people who like all the little bleeps and bloops. So cool. I will probably stop listening then.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's we're geeking out about podcasting, but I'm glad you and I are on the same page. I've never done excessive editing. If people swear, I allow it because that just means they got pretty fired up, right? They got pretty energized, and I got the real person. We got the real energy coming out of them. And if people can't listen to my podcast because there's an occasional profane word, they're not my audience because I don't have the time and I don't care to edit out people's passions.
Right. Absolutely. I don't either. I had Billie Jean Shaw on the line, and I've heard him on other podcasts where he's been really reserved, but I knew who he was. I've been following Billie Jean for a very long time, and I knew who he was. And we had he said, he started throwing out some F-bombs. He's like, can I cuss? I was like, dude, this is a real show, man. This ain't radio. Yeah. And I'll just put the little E next to this episode. No worries, man. Yep. And I throw out a couple here and there once in a while as well. I'm not, doesn't make that big of a difference to me, but yeah, I just like the real of it. I mean, 90%, probably about 70 to 80% of my episodes, my conversations, I'm in my living room right now, but normally I'm in the cab of my Toyota Tacoma with the AC on, looking at the ocean. It's just how I like to have my conversations with the guys I have conversations with. And if you listen real closely, you can hear a little rumbling sound in the background. Yeah. I don't edit that out. I don't even know how to edit that out. I know somebody could.
I watched a webinar to learn how to do that one time right before I launched the show. And then I realized the fact that I'm sitting here watching a 20-minute long webinar on how to filter this already tells me I'm not interested in this. So I really don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. Just keep it real, man.
Yeah. And I'll definitely get connected. Admittedly, how I found this guy? My last editor started his own podcast editing business. And then he, in the UK, and he injured his eye and decided to shut the business down. He said it was overwhelming. And I said, okay, well, clearly you were not the entrepreneurial person, because if you injure your eye or whatever, this is the universe testing you. You got to go for it. So I think if he was listening, again, I miss you, bro. I wish you would turn that business back on again. But I think he's just doing his, whatever the UK calls the version of their postal service. Like he's the mail guy. So you want to keep being a mail guy.
I need to connect him with Tanner Gears.
There you go. There you go.
He went completely blind because of a car accident, and he's freaking rocking it, man. He's out public
he's not
speaking
blind.
the whole bit.
He's just
not completely. And he's still running Olympic stuff, and
because these are the hurdles of life. Okay, you cannot live in a negative mindset, and again, we've all been there. But the more you start building this abundant mindset, the easier it is to get over these hurdles and these obstacles. So I'll definitely get you connected to my editor guy, because I literally found him on Fiverr of all places. So
amazing. Yeah. I hear that often.
Yeah. And I went through a couple different guys, and then I found this guy and he's fast. Yeah. He's fast. Perfect. Yeah. He doesn't speak a world of English. He can read English. I email him. So I know I'm not sure if I'm allowed to email him outside of Fiverr, but we do. And I use Trello as a project management app to keep us in communication, but you don't have to do any of that. Like he's like, dude, just submit everything. You can submit everything in Fiverr if you wanted to. So I'll definitely get you that
está bien porque yo hablo español.
Yeah.
I speak Spanish anyway.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know what Bosnian, I don't even know what Bosnian sounds like, but because I'm like, listen,
that's right. I'm thinking Bolivia. Bolivia is the wrong one. I've been to Bolivia and Bosnia. I was just backwards.
Oh, yeah.
But
Sorry.
Bosnia
No, this is Bosnia. So,
yeah.
And he's like, listen, he's like, I asked him, I was like, I'd love to be able to promote what you're doing, whether you want to stay on Fiverr or not as a platform, right? Because it makes it easy for him. I was like, hey, you should come on the podcast. And he wrote back saying, I can't speak English very well. And I was like, oh, because we've never actually had a phone call or anything, or a webinar or a Skype call, nothing. It's all been electronic for over 3 months now.
And see, that's the other amazing thing that I, travel in the world is everywhere I've gone, pretty much everybody speaks English. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everybody. And it always aggravates me when I see an American in another country getting upset because the person that they're trying to do business with, buy a coffee from or something like that, doesn't understand what they want and understand what they're saying. I'm like, dude, at least give it a try. Try to learn the language. And then chances are they'll start speaking English to you because at least you tried. Because many of them do speak English. Or broken English, they can understand, they can get by.
Yeah, he writes perfect English. That tells me if he can write it and type it, that means he understands it. And he probably has some broken English, but I think he just doesn't want to go and try and do a full conversational podcast format because he's not that good at speaking English. So I get that. And again, it's whatever he wants, man. I don't care. He's still kicking butt for me, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So with your podcast, for our listeners, again, guys, menofabundance.com. And clearly you already hinted at your target audience, which is smart marketing, is men. All right. You have to really niche yourself in the world today. So how crazy, give me 2 examples, because I haven't heard all of your episodes, but give me 2 examples of 2 extremely different episodes that you've had on your show. Like opposites.
Okay. Yeah. So, wow. After 100 episodes, I've had so many guys on. One of the top downloads is, oh my goodness, now I'm not going to remember his name. He's the Siberian immigrant, and Deuce Pissick, and that conversation went on for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
I was so intrigued with this conversation, and it literally went on for 2 hours. I turned it into episode 1 and a 2-part episode, or 2-part conversation. And episode 1 is the most downloaded. And he's this engineer, and he's building he's got this amazing, big, hairy, audacious goal to build this amazing structure that's mobile for people to use. Like, for instance, they could use right now in Texas with the hurricane down there.
Wow.
And it just went on. So much in that conversation with mindset and his drive and everything.
Wait, are these those transforming shipping containers that transforms into buildings?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like that. And what he's trying to do right now is get funding, because his are I've seen so many like it, because he posts on his website constantly all these different architectural structures that are just amazing. But he's got a concept that he's putting together specifically made out of a specific material, and he's really working with all the right guys to get his structures put out there. Then in contrast, one of the recent conversations that I just had was with a tax coach, a tax advisor, Craig Cody, just recently posted. And so I get into the conversations about deep mindset. I've had some guys that come on that take abundance to, medical. We recently had a pharmacist on the show. You recently had I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
That was Dr. Carson.
Dr. Phil Carson.
Phil Carson, Carson Natural. Yeah.
Correct. Carson Natural. And introduced to you by, I think it was Interview Valet.
Yeah, and I've got his saliva testing kits just arrived, so I'll be doing some hormonal research with him on myself.
Yeah. So we get into all kinds of stuff, because as it says on my site, and my tagline is, abundance in family, faith, finances, and fitness. So we touch on a lot of the different things, and I do niche down to specifically men. Ironically enough, based on my analytics, about 38% of the people that visit my website are women. Now, I don't know if they're looking for men of abundance or an abundance of men, but but I do know that they're listening.
Or they're trying to understand our crazy minds, because we joke around that the ladies have a crazy mind. We have crazy minds too. Let's be real.
We do. And I listen to a lot of the ladies' shows too, so I can try to figure that out. But it's a tough thing to figure out. But I actually had one lady contact me, and she said she wanted me to coach her husband and help her husband in this abundance mindset. And I said, well, yeah,
well, you can want that all you want. You can want that all you want. He has to want that.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of, I am not a guru when it comes to women, but I'm like, I think a lot of ladies want to change us. And it's like, that's fine if he wants to change with your goal or grow. I don't even want to say change, grow, right? That's what we're talking about here is growing.
That's what we're talking about.
Personal growth, professional growth. You have to want it, and you have to be willing to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I explained to her. I said, I don't work, and I could coach, I have this guy, I know what I could do to coach you, to help him, but that's not cool either, because one, I'm not going to have a conversation with another man's wife about how to change him. That's not cool.
That's just weird.
Yeah, it's just weird. Right. And I don't work with ladies anyway. I have my personal reasons for that. So but I was honored, and I said, just keep listening to the show and maybe introduce it to him and have him reach out to me if he wants to.
Nice. It's good. You can at least, I guess, point them in the right direction. I love the fact that she wants to see him grow. And I think that in the end, that's what all of our significant others want, is they want the best for us, just like we want the best for them. So, but again, we have to all be willing and open in our mindset to really even start on that path. And I've had to teach people that about myself 2 years ago. Like, I had to be willing to take that next step. If you're not, you're just gonna be slamming your head against the wall over and over again. Like you're not ready yet.
Yeah,
just like our health and wellness people that we've helped, right? It's like, if they haven't defined their why, if they haven't really stepped into owning where they're at today and where they want to go tomorrow, I can't help you. I can give you the best supplements and the best systems to follow out there, but it's like, you have to own that. I can't own that for you.
Absolutely. And listen, man, that's why I'm so big on the mindset thing. And I know you are as well, because before I will work with anybody, whether it's health and fitness, it's mindset, or, living a life of abundance, starting a side hustle, whatever it is that you want to do, number one is the mindset. I got to know who you are, and are you really committed to this? Because the thing that aggravates me more than anything when it comes to coaching or giving solicited advice to people, because they ask for it, otherwise I don't give advice, I just kind of let them do their thing, is, are you going to do what I suggest you do, or at least going to give it a try? And I'm not talking about trying it for 2 or 3 days. I'm talking about truly getting in and giving it a try, because I'm only suggesting this to you because I know where you're at in your life, and this is what I feel will help you get to where you want to go, enhancing your mindset. If you can't do that, if you can't make that first commitment, then we're just simply not going to work together, because it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of your time. I'll direct you to somebody else who's willing to put in that kind of time, but I'm just not. I live an abundant lifestyle. I want to live with my family. I don't want to spend all my time with you. Right. I want to put you down a track, have you do the work. I'm not doing the work for you.
I think that's part of it, is that people have to understand that if you're working with a coach, coaching in general, because I've been a coach in many, many roles over the years, is exhausting mentally. So even as long as we're
vested, and you and I, people like you and I are invested in that relationship. Yeah. So it is. It's draining.
It takes two to tango, just like a relationship, right? It's just a different kind of relationship. But part of that investment is that, okay, I'm willing to step up and be invested. You have to be too, because I'm going to burn the candle, so to speak, at both ends. And we're going to go in on this, and I'm going to potentially risk burning myself out trying to do the work for you. Like, no, it's not going to work that way. All right. It can't. And unfortunately, I'm sure you've had that experience too, where we've all made those mistakes, right? Early on, you're excited to help people, and it's like you're spinning the wheel. It's like you're on a hamster wheel. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And constantly reminding people, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Where's your pictures of your meal that you ate today? Where's your sweaty clothes on the floor? It's like,
yeah, that's not the coaching people get from me. I'm like, guys, like I'm not your mommy. I'm not your daddy. Okay. I'm here as a resource. I'm not here to hold your hand. Okay. Right. There's accountability. And I think that's like part of that big abundance piece is being accountable. Like it's your life. As soon as you're ready to finally step up and say, I don't know everything. I want to know more, but I got to own that. I have to be accountable for me. And I have to go all in on that, right? If I want to be there, and that was part of my personal story with my whole fiance. It's like we broke up, and I've mentioned this on a couple episodes. I was like, dude, we had a 3-month break, and that technically should have ended. But after me trying, pulling my head out of my ass and realizing that I've, taken all these risks, being the firefighter and everything else, and it's like, okay, well, the one risk I never took was matters of the heart. I wasn't willing to open that up and let those walls come down and see what true abundance potential I had by allowing the romance piece of my life to come into position. So it was like, whoa, that was life-changing. But it took a special girl for me to actually be willing to put that self-work in. And over that next 90 days, and I'm still working on it, but back when that happened, over that 90 days, I went full immersion. I was downloading ebooks and electronic guides and visiting websites and like love guru crap. I mean, I was like, what am I doing? But I realized that's how I attack stuff. Like, okay, man, you realize that you're not doing this right. It's time to learn it, figure it out, and go all in. Because worst case scenario, you might not get this girl back, but you can't screw that up on the next time. Now, granted, I got the girl back. So,
yeah. And, the thing about coaching is, and you just really hit on it, is you don't need a coach to get information.
Nope.
The information's out there. I mean, you can look
more now
anywhere.
than ever.
Yeah. I mean, from any number of podcasts to any number of YouTube videos to
YouTube University,
articles,
baby.
blogs, you name it. I mean, literally, people have, we can go deep into that, but you get a coach for the accountability. You get a coach because they have that little bit extra understanding of what it is that you're doing. And they're there to hold you accountable. But at the same time, unless you're going to hire somebody to come live in your house, have a Navy SEAL come and live in your house and kick you out of bed every morning, I would love to do that one of these days, actually.
That'd be kind of fun.
I have a Navy SEAL that's right across the street from me, which we're always together. But to be that guy, to be in somebody else's house and kick them out, I would love to be on that side of the equation.
I would love to video that.
I wonder if they did video that. You know who I'm talking about, right? They wrote a book about it. God, no, I'm drawing a blank. Look,
is it one of those SEAL books? Was it actually a SEAL? I think I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember his name.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's right on the tip of my tongue. Look, guys, if
it was kind of like a reality thing, wasn't it?
Well, no, they met at he first saw the SEAL at a run. They were doing this 25-mile run or something like that, and everybody else shows up with a big old team, and this SEAL shows up with a lawn chair and a jar of peanut butter or something like that, and he just runs, and he just tears it up. Yeah. And I know his wife, the guy that hired him to come live with him for 30 days or whatever it was, his wife is the founder of Spanx.
Oh wow.
She's I'm drawing a blank. Look, guys, or to your listeners, you see how absent-minded I am? I can't always remember stuff. I'm doing this stuff. I'm getting this done. And if I don't have it written down in front of me, this is why I journal. This right here is why I journal, so I can remember these conversations. But
I talk all the time about there is a proven psychological connection of when you write things down physically, it improves memorization of the content versus just typing it out.
And obviously this, I haven't written it out yet.
Well, it's not a big deal because it's all right, man. Because the long story short on this one is, it's like you and I have so much going on, right? That's the only, we're reaching these new levels of abundance that we're trying to, launch podcasts and grow the blog and grow the influence and help more people. So sometimes you're not going to know everything, and that's okay. You're a human being.
Yeah. And this is driving me crazy. So I'm going to look it up.
Nice.
I think it was called Living with a SEAL.
Man, was that her perspective then?
I don't even have my glasses on, but This is driving me nuts that I can't remember this guy. There it is.
Who do we got?
The name of the, yeah, there it is. Perfect. So the name of the book is called Living with the SEAL, 31 Days of Training. And Jesse Itzler is his name. Jesse Itzler. Look him up.
Because I'm going to link this in the show notes. We're spending this time on it. I want to make sure this gets linked as a resource. It's important. And people could check this out.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's important. It's a really good read. It's a really good book anyway. But yeah, I just bring it up because I'd like to be on the SEALs guy, his side, doing that. I don't know if they recorded it, but that's what that book is written about, his life living with this SEAL for 31 days. Nice. And he was already in good shape. He's already a go-getter. This cat's already freaking super successful. But he just wanted to take it to the next level.
The SEAL training is a different level of mindset development, right? Mm-hmm. Like everybody, you could be a great athlete. Like some people say I have a stronger mindset than most, but I guarantee you I don't have the same mindset training that a SEAL goes through. That's different, right? Each of us have so many options to tap into. It's like if you're connecting with a SEAL, then maybe you want to go check that piece out, right? I'll make sure that's linked in the show notes because if somebody's like, man, I might want to learn from the SEAL, then maybe you want to go check that out. Some people could care less. Maybe they don't like SEALs. Fine. Then go find a different influencer, a different mindset coach or piece or a blog or podcast. That's what we were talking about earlier, right? Like there's plenty of resources out there, guys. You don't have to feel like you're alone or you're lacking. The lacking or that scarcity mindset is just because you haven't opened yourself up to embrace the true potential of abundance by letting all this new content into you. And you just have to be willing to at least get out of bed, maybe step over to the computer and log online and go to that wonderful site called Google and start searching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And with all the information, the other thing is you just have to experience, and that's what he wanted to experience. He just wanted to experience that. Now, I relate to it because I went through Special Forces selection and assessment many years ago when I was 23, and I got selected for Special Forces. And the thing that made the difference between you start out with some 250 guys, and I think like out of my class, like maybe 70 of us got selected to move on to the next level of the training. And the difference is you're standing there freezing cold, out in the middle of North Carolina, rain coming down, and you got guys that are super physically fit and you got guys that aren't super physically fit. But regardless, it's always the mindset. We had a guy who couldn't climb a rope to save his life. He ended up not getting selected, but he wouldn't quit. He just wouldn't quit. And the guys who voluntarily withdraw, there's a difference between voluntarily withdrawing and just being told, you're not making it, we're going to recycle you, some sort of thing. But the guys that voluntarily withdraw from the selection course, it's all up here. It's all in the mindset on one, do they really want to do that? And two, can they endure the pain long enough to get through it? Because it's extremely painful. You're getting like four hours of sleep a night for 21 days. And it's all mindset, 100%. Yep.
That's pretty powerful.
But the experience of that, and that's why so many people like you got the Spartan. So many people go out to do the Spartan race to challenge themselves physically, to get into it and to experience that. And
then they realize it's actually more mental.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's the same in business. So many people have amazing business ideas and some way to help add value to somebody else's life. And by the way, get paid for it. But they're so afraid to pull the trigger because of what others may think of them. It may not work, and it may not work, but at least you'll learn something from it and you can tweak things a little bit.
That's what I went through when I did the whole crazy hotshot thing a couple of years back, right? Like I was like, I was worried about, oh my God, like what's my resume going to look like? And I finally have my BS degree and but I'm in my 30s and what's this, what's that? And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going for it, man. I'm going to go serve as a wildland firefighter, federal government, and let's see where it goes. And yeah, you risk your life. It's not the same as the military, although I have a couple of buddies of mine that were military and they're like, you're freaking crazy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, you got shot at. And he's like, yeah, but you're trying to fight Mother Nature. I was like, okay, I guess I can understand that. I was like, I still don't want to get shot at.
No, mad respect for firefighters, man, for sure. I got a buddy of mine who lives across the street from me who's a retired firefighter. And living a good life now.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you saw on social media yesterday. I had my annual charity workout, right? So at least, And I only did it for 2 years, but it's now years later, and I can still at least give back to that community and still recognize the loss, of the 19 hotshots, of the fallen Granite Mountain hotshots from Arizona. So, and again, you having lived in Arizona, so like you and I have a weird inner connection there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the whole point. It's like I teach people that too. It's like, guys, like it's just a part of your life now. So just own it. And maybe I didn't turn into a career firefighter, but I can now fast forward to today, and thanks to my other resources and life experiences, I can do other things. Like I know how to put together events, and I'm well connected in the CrossFit community. So I could put together charity workouts and give back to the firefighting community. And now I feel good about that because I feel like I'm tapping into more of a purpose. And that's for me, pretty powerful. And I feel more abundant because I'm not making any money off of that. I'm investing my time into something worthwhile that's going to give back to something bigger than myself. And I get to bring other people along who maybe never even thought about doing it. But now it's like, hey, they showed up, and they put in the sweat literally and donated the money and their time, to give back. And I think that's that part of that bigger picture that we all need to be getting ourselves up to in life.
Absolutely. Most definitely. Yeah. I'm on Facebook this morning, and a buddy of mine, an Army buddy of mine who's also retired, is in Houston driving his big truck around, picking up folks that are stranded because of the floods out there. And he's still got this huge sense of community to be up in the morning. You can see he's still got bedhead and sleepy eyes and all this stuff. Probably hadn't had a cup of coffee.
What kind of truck's he driving around? Has he got an 18-wheeler?
No, it's actually a large Ford. He said it's a Ford. It's not an F-150. It's a huge Ford pickup, but it's really big. And he's got I don't know if the exhaust is up higher or not, but I mean, he's rolling through.
Oh, he's got like one of those big modified customized trucks. Yeah. So he's got the lift on it, the bigger tires. He probably, I know what you're talking about. A lot of guys in Arizona had trucks like that. So, but that's cool.
Yeah, and that's big in Texas too.
Hey, it's like, everything's bigger in Texas, right? Well, at least take your big truck that you got and do something good with it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Do something with it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. Really good guy.
Yeah. And for our listeners right now, we're literally recording this like a day or two. I think there's a hurricane still happening. Like there's a huge hurricane in it that slammed into Texas over the past 48 hours. So
Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah. Is it finally dissipating yet?
I'm not sure. I haven't really checked the news feeds on that, but I know it was pretty hot and heavy last night. Yeah.
I had a lot of friends of mine checking in, doing that whole Facebook thing where you check in, say you're safe. Yeah. So, I mean, again, we send our best to those people down there. And obviously a lot of people remember Katrina. So these hurricanes are no joke. And really, this is the beginning of hurricane season. So this is interesting seeing something this massive, this large hit this early in the season. So,
and all the way into Houston.
Yeah, and that's pretty deep, right? Pretty inland. That came in hard. That came in fast. So that's pretty inland for a storm. So, well, listen, Wally, you gave us so much time here today. I'm just honored to finally get you on, man. We've had so many circles of influence getting overlapped, and now I finally get to bring you to our audience and get the word about what you're doing with Men of Abundance. Again, to our listeners, menofabundance.com, guys. But if you've listened to the show before, you know that you're the co-host, sir, so you get the final words of the show. Everything you're doing, clearly we know that you're part of that bigger picture. But is there a message you wanted to leave behind to our listeners that they forget everything else we said? And don't forget the website, guys. But, here's what Wally, this is what Wally is doing. This is where he's moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. Look, first and foremost, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on and speak with your listeners. I don't take that lightly. We're very selective about who we're going to allow to, get into the earbuds of our listeners. And I seriously appreciate that. But listen, I don't want to ever paint the picture that everything's perfect, because crap happens. Some of us talk more about it than others. And it's all about how you talk about it. But every morning, what I do when I get up in the morning is, regardless of what's going on in life, whether it's, there's something going on horrendous in my life or whatever, I look in the mirror when I'm shaving, brushing my teeth. I just try to get a big smile on my face. It just changes your mood. When I walk through the door, when I come home, before I walk through the door, I know my little guy, 7-year-old, is going to run to the door. I kind of have this little ritual thing, kind of like, Ranger thing. You tap the Ranger tab. I'm not a Ranger, but I just grew up in the 82nd Airborne Division, stuff like that. I tap the door, I just put a smile on my face. I say, I'm home, be home. like I said, stuff happens, but just remember, we live in amazing times. We live in a very, very abundant world right now. We are safer than we've ever been in history, regardless of what you see on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the data, look at the statistics. You know, we're living longer than we used to. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And there's other countries that live even longer than we do, much longer than we do as Americans. But just realize there's so much out there. And as soon as you make that realization and see how much you have in your life, and I don't like, people say, well, somebody's got it worse. Well, if that's the case, then reach out to them, because there's something about helping other people, whether you're making money from it or not. And it's okay to make money when you're helping other people. It's just an amazing feeling. And I always say, no matter what you do, people help other people, it's always going to come back to you. It's a cliche. People say it all the time, but I'm living proof. I'm telling you right now, when you have an abundance mindset and you project that out to other people, you're just really changing your personality, your person, who you are, and you're helping somebody else. We can go on and on about this whole abundance thing. I appreciate you, Scott. I love what you got going on. I dig listening to all of your, you go very, very deep into your health and fitness, into what you consume and what you don't consume. And I just love eating that stuff up.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, you being a fellow podcaster, sir, thank you for those words. You and I are both just trying to grow a bigger message, get through to more people, and hopefully change some lives along the way for the better, right? So to our listeners, guys, and hang tight, I'll give you a proper goodbye off the air. Guys, that is Wally Carmichael, menofabundance.com, okay? I can't say it any better than what he's already said it, all right? Keep building the mindset. Get to that level of abundance, because it is limitless. You can keep going with it. It is unlimited. So again, to our listeners, guys, that's another Live the Fuel show. So Wally Carmichael, menofabundance.com. He is truly living the fired up life. Talk to you guys again soon. And you're clear of the pod.
Oh, awesome, man.
All right, man. That was best. It was
that
good
was pretty
catching
badass.
up. Yeah,
absolutely. How are you recording? What platform are you using?
Oh, here's the best part. If you're, I don't use Skype anymore, obviously. So I use Zoom.us. Mm-hmm. But I'm because I was coached by Michael O'Neill. Mm-hmm. I actually do record to hardware. So I still have my Zoom H5 recorder, just like I was doing before. The only difference was I stopped using Skype and I added in Zoom. The cool thing about Zoom is that when I hit stop on this video, it will have a separate audio track and a video track of everything we just did. So I actually have now audio redundancy, because I have this whole file to fall back on too. Right. But because I don't want to do any editing.
Yeah.
So I use the way I've always done the podcast off of my Zoom H5 digital recorder here that I have plugged into my mixer board, which goes into my laptop. To be fair, I could literally publish everything that is identical to the video feed off of Zoom, because that's a separate audio file. So it's up to me if I want to send this audio file or the one that I already stopped on my recorder. So
I see. Okay.
But for me, I think it's kind of cool that the podcast show is a little shorter and the YouTube's a little longer, because if I start recording video first and then I leave it recorded, like right now, this is all extra bonus content. And people feel like it's more behind the scenes then. So
no, I dig it. Yeah. Cause since I'm really doing most of these out of the cab of my truck, doing like during the lunch hour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From work. I don't have an additional recorder. I just use Ecamm to record my Skype. They record right on my computer. And I download them there.
Yeah. I've been hardware since day one. Never used software.
Really? Wow.
Like I said, it's Michael O'Neill, solopreneur, man. Like he's like, listen, he's like, you go to all the professional football games, to the media tent. Everybody's got a mini mixer and a digital recorder, because they don't want to risk losing that interview with that pro player, that coach, whatever it may be, the radio stations. He's like, they're all using hardware for a reason. So I was like, okay, very valid point. So, so literally, like, again, Heil PR40 is a very high-end microphone. You got the XLR cables that goes right into my soundboard. So I literally, when I'm done with you, I'll hit end on Zoom. it'll then start processing the video file and all the content that was being recorded at this time. And I can either I can have that recorded on the cloud, on Zoom's cloud, which is limited, or right now I have being dumped right to my hard drive. So when that's done, I'll have an audio file and a video file from Zoom. But to be fair, when I'm done, I could just turn off my Zoom H5 recorder here. I take the chip out, I plug it into my chip reader or my little SD card reader, drag the file onto my hard drive, and then I upload it to Google Drive, and then I send that to my editor.
Nice.
So while Zoom is still processing the video for the next half an hour, I've already sent the audio track off to my editor. So
cool.
Because it's instantaneous, right? It's already done. I've already hit stop. So because let's say worst case scenario, internet takes a shit. You disconnect. I got to reconnect with you because Skype goes on and off, whatever. I could keep talking because this could all go away. But because I'm running a digital audio recorder right now, I could just keep filling in the space. I just keep talking. It's like, oh, we lost Wally real quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking to you. I'm going to give you guys some more updates. Stand by while he gets back on the internet, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, I could, my whole laptop could shut down. My whole laptop, everything here could just shut down. But because I'm going through a board and my Zoom H5, I'm just going to keep going because I'm like you. I didn't have all this, and I was doing in-person interviews. So I take that Zoom H5 with me, and I have portable microphones and everything. That's what I took to Thrive last year. Did live interviews right there. It looked much more professional because I had the nice microphones and everything. So
yeah, absolutely. Got to have the look. How big is that recorder?
Oh, geez, it's like, I don't know, this big.
Tiny little thing. Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
so
the Zoom. Now Michael has since updated to the Zoom H5. Let's see if my cables are long enough. There you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I've seen those. So I've seen those on some of the podcasts.
Oh yeah. So the Zoom is one of the most popular digital recorders. So these cables go right into my soundboard. But if I will unplug all this, and I take this with me, and then I just plug in mic 1 and mic 2, and my mic and your mic, and you and I can sit there and have a physical conversation in person. And then there's an accessory on this one that I can expand to 4 microphones. So I just plug a different head in, and then I got 2 more microphones I plug in. So if I'm doing
so
more than one person,
you don't even need a computer or anything.
No, I could do the entire show off of this recorder. That's the point of hardware.
So when I travel, that's what I need to get so that I can be even more.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's for in person. Now, obviously, if you're going to do like an interview like this, where we're several thousand miles away, then of course we need you need the connection and all that stuff.
I got a lot of toys.
Look at that. I love toys.
Oh, this is my waterproof Gator case. So this is specifically designed for the Zoom.
Got it.
Everything's nicely padded. There's my microphone. There's my cable. I got spare batteries. And then I unplug that unit, throw it in here, and it's like a little mini briefcase. Now, granted, I don't have the other microphone in here, but if I was just doing solo like you, that would be my kit. So actually, if you went to, what am I using? Kit.com. I think it's kit.com/livethefuel. You'll see everything I'm using. I built a little, like my kit. So kit.com is a cool site where you can literally build your own little kits and tell people what to buy, what you buy or whatever. So I built a little podcaster kit on there just so whenever people ask what all this stuff is, I'm like, just go to kit.com/livethefuel. You'll see what I have. So
nice.
Yeah. Very cool. That's a great way because like I said, all I got to do is get the data off of that SIM card, after that SD card, and you make your show off of that. So that's the advantage of that. I don't need a laptop and software or any of that stuff. So, and the other advantage of this recorder is there's gain knobs. So I can dial in if I'm too loud or because you and I have 2 different voices. So I can adjust you to the perfect sound. So our vocals are matched right on the screen. So if you
my voice is very low. My voice is always lower than I guess. So I'm always having to amp that up, and I still haven't figured out the whole audio thing. I don't know. I set my settings when I first took the free John Lee Dumas's free course, and then I went into the paid course and all that stuff.
See,
he said put your settings like this. I know.
Yeah.
Like so literally, I just set it up like that.
Home studio, I always have the knobs set at 5s, right? Which is I go from 0 to 10. When I'm in person and I have physical microphones plugged in, they're always at 6. That's it. There's nothing else fancy.
Makes it simple. Yeah.
Like the only thing fancy I had to do was like tune the mixer board that I have here, dial that all in. But trust me, there's nothing fancy. Once you got it set it and forget it. Like I have a cleaning lady come once a month for our house now. I'm like, don't touch the desk. Don't mess with my knobs. Don't be dusting anything. I got that covered. Like anything that looks techie, stay away. She's a very nice lady, but she doesn't speak English very well, but she works very, very hard. Yeah. And it's just weird saying I have a cleaning lady. I've never had.
I've been there. So,
yeah. It's like,
I live in a 1,200 square foot house right now, and so we don't need. I got a teenager and a 7-year-old, so it's always freaking messy. But they're my cleaning ladies.
Childhood labor or child development.
Yeah,
that's right. You're developing it. Yes. Indeed. I like that. That's very nice. Yeah. Well, I hope that helps you a little bit. Like I said, go to that kit.com site. You can see all the little stuff that I have.
Check that out.
So, because my portable microphones are different. This one stays here. This is just my home studio mic. But yeah, actually, it is kit.com/livethefuel. I haven't been back on here. I was going to build a bunch of kits on here because I always have all this crazy stuff. But I have a kit called, there it is, Podcasting Travel. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll check it out because I'm about ready to start upgrading. I've got the same mic, the one mic and my little pop screen and hooked onto a 5-pound weight.
Nice.
In my truck, I just hook. I take the same pop screen and I just hook it onto the door handle of my truck. I should take a picture of that one of these days.
But see, that'd be cool. People would appreciate that from the DIY type stuff, right? Like people don't need to drop a lot of coin. Granted, I'd probably drop $1,500 launching my show because I wanted to have. I'm a toys guy. I'm like, I wanted the gear. I want to make sure it sounded great, and I followed Michael's advice. I actually bought one of his. He had like 3 kits that he recommended, like level 1, level 2, level 3. And I bought the highest end kit through a company that he recommended, and it didn't work. Like I bought all the stuff he told me to buy, and the way they told you to wire it was all wrong. So I ended up like returning like $200 worth of stuff, but then keeping most of the stuff. So it took a while to go through. So I've had to learn a lot from that.
Interesting.
And that frustrated Michael too, because like, oh man, he's recommending all this stuff and it didn't work right. So I eventually figured it out. I tracked down a guy who was an audio engineer, and he and I walked through it over Skype. So
amazing, simply amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I spent more money on the training of it and the prepping of it and the website than I did my physical equipment. So I think it's about time to go the other way.
Well, there you go. There's some new ideas, and like I said, reach out to me, man, if you need the tips and tricks or you want to follow up on the home studio stuff or what I do. That's cool. Like I said, I got 3 different travel mics.
I know you said on a recent episode, you said you had something like 60,000 downloads at the point of that recording anyway. Not there yet. No. Oh, maybe I misheard. How many downloads do you have at this point?
No, 35,000.
Oh, okay. Well, even still. Okay, so 35,000. I'm at 16,000. Okay. And I've been doing this a year. But I will say that I've got some engaged listeners.
And that's all that matters, right?
Exactly.
You want people, like there's a couple of people who are like regular listeners, and they message me privately. So I have a couple of engaged people. And yeah, I don't really care because I'm like, I don't advertise. I think I've boosted
I don't either.
2 posts on Facebook only because I had really, really good hosts on and I wanted people to know about it. It's just playing around with different stuff. But I told them like, I'm going organic, man. It's supposed to be fun.
I am too. I've paid no money for marketing, and people look at people like John Lee Dumas and stuff, and they're like, but he's got, I said, but you don't understand, man, that cat threw tens of thousands of dollars into his podcast.
And he also started years ago.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's besides the point. But they even talk about how quickly you look at his timeline that he's got on his website, and you look at his downloads, and it's like, well, yeah, but what he's not sharing with you. And if you listen to his show, you'll know that. And if you've ever talked to him, you'll know that he spent several tens of thousands of dollars, 1 on a mentor, 2 on equipment, and 3 on marketing.
Yeah.
That's what he did. And that's how he got, and he freaking got, Pat Flynn is episode 1.
Yeah.
When Pat was just kind of really, in the middle of his game, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't, and just like John says, compare and despair. If you're going to compare with somebody, you got to fully understand where they came from, how much money and time they put into it before you can do that.
Well,
and
it's
even
like,
then it's dangerous.
I almost fell into that gap and was going to just track down like key people with huge followings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I purposely, for example, moved a couple things around from the launch of the show, and I made Michael O'Neill my first episode because I wanted the name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the worst downloaded episodes because, and you know what, Mike, I will critique you as a former coaching client and everything else. You never shared the episode. All right.
They don't.
Sorry, bro.
Billie
like
Jean,
you're talking about networking and growing. You share each other's episodes. Come on.
Absolutely. I got Billie Jean Shaw. I've got Jay Pepizan, the co-author of The One Thing with Gary Keller.
Yep.
I've got those other guys. But have you ever heard of Deuce Pesic?
No.
The dude's got the highest downloads on any of my episodes.
Yep.
He shared the hell out of that thing.
Yeah.
With everybody. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So to get the top influencers, yeah, it's great to help. Personally, I get the top influencers. I just had a conversation with John Lee Dumas the other day. He gave me 20 minutes, and we had a great conversation. I don't think he's going to show the episode. I don't expect him to show the episode.
No, I mean, the shows that I've been on, the shows that I've been on, I literally put them in my email signature. Mm-hmm. I say, heard on. So that way, and I linked my email signature, those URLs in there. I want to give them respect because I'm a marketing guy. Mm-hmm. So I want to show people how to do it right in the big picture. Like, share this stuff.
And it was part strategic. I like communicating with you and stuff, but I was posting on Twitter and stuff that I'm going to have a conversation with you before we even got on the show. Now, when your show airs, it's going on Google Plus, LinkedIn, Rally Point, which is a military site. It's going on Facebook, Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody invited me to Rally Point.
On Twitter, Facebook. It's going on Pinterest. I'm going to post the hell out of it. And it's going to be on a recurring cycle on my Twitter feed.
I do the same thing. Everybody goes out to Google Plus, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I do the same exact thing because you know what? It's just putting in the reps. You got to push the content out. So whether I'm on somebody else's show or they're on my show, every single person who comes to my show, of course I'm going to blast them. Yeah. But then as soon as I'm on somebody else's show, I'm going to do that. So, and actually real quick, since you're on Rally Point and you're military connected. So have you been on, Fire and Adjust?
No.
Oh, so he was in Michael O'Neill's private coaching community with me. He launched for veterans, a podcast, way before me, called Fire and Adjust. So I'll have to try and get you guys connected because I think that's two influential, two key things that you guys should be connected on. But check out Fire and Adjust, man, because again, he's specifically targeted and niched to veterans and military. Because he's like,
I get the name too.
Yeah, well, that's why he created the brand. Like it was like, anybody who's in the military knows exactly what that means.
I've been on Veteran Resources. Jeremy, no, I'm not going to think of his name. I'll think of it in a minute. Veteran Resources. I've been on. That's the one veteran episode that I've been on. I'm just now, since I'm in the process of, I'm going to be relocating my family in September. So coming back in October, I've already got a one sheet done that I'm going to be pushing out to other podcasters. To get on other shows, specific shows. I've got the list of those that I know I resonate with, that I know will be good to hear. A couple of veterans, because I do talk a lot with veterans, but also just other shows that, forward, growth type of shows. So I'm going to reach out to some of the folks that's been on my show to get on. I just hadn't in the past because I was really just trying to see where this is going. Sure. And it literally has taken on a life of its own. It's gone a direction I didn't expect it to go. Well,
and that's part of it too. Is like you can't stay too locked down to your what you originally thought. You never know where it's going to go. At least be open to its change and its metamorphosis. Especially if it ends up making it better. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, and ultimately appealing to the crowd that I want to appeal to. I don't want to change it to the point to where I've had women on the show, but I don't want it to be a women's show. Right. You know what I'm saying? People say, well, you got to go where your audience wants to go, but your audience can change so drastically that it's going to end up being something that you didn't intend it to be and don't want it to be.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I'm saying?
you got
So
to be as a business guy, you still have to be true to your brand.
right.
Okay, if you're game to rebrand, that's different. But in
That's
the
different.
end, if you figured out your niche and your audience, stay true to that
Hmm.
and stay focused.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've definitely found my voice in the space for sure, because the whole abundance thing really came from a book that I was in the process of writing, Living Your Life of Abundance. And as I was writing it, I realized it was more of a biography.
Hmm.
And I said, well, I know there's other stories out there like this. So I decided to do what Ryan Daniel Moran did, which was hold an event, because he wanted to have conversations with people like Grant Cardone and, all these other folks. And I thought, well, shoot, how could I do that? And then I got introduced to podcasting, and John Lee Dumas said, you can have a podcast. And I was like, well, there's my platform right there.
There you
I
go.
did it for selfish reasons. I wanted to have conversations with guys like you.
Yep.
And the only way I'm going to get somebody like Jay Papasan on or have a conversation with John Lee Dumas or any of these other folks is to give them a platform. They're not going to talk to me one-on-one, and I did. And they love the reason why I get people like that on is because they love the name Men of Abundance.
Yeah.
The one thing about Men of Abundance is I try to get it away from being a religious based. People think of that and they think religious based, and it's not religious based as much as it is. Anyway, I say all that because another author that I still yet to get on the show, just because I want to have a conversation with him, is Peter Diamandis, who wrote the book Abundance. Have you ever read it?
God, I don't think that's in my library.
I've got the hard copy, but I'm telling you, it's a good audio book.
Okay,
great.
I crush audiobooks, so it could literally be in my. I have every time I track down, I'm like add it wish list. So I have a huge library of what I've already listened to. I don't think I've listened to it yet, but it may be in my wish list. And if it's not, I'll check at the end of this call and I'll put it on.
Absolutely do. He's close personal friends with Elon Musk.
Oh,
and they're doing a lot of amazing things together. But I'm telling you right now, you talk about abundance. He's got data. That's why I say it's a good audio book, because I can't read data very well. Although I have read the book and I use the book as references for my show and try to study that, because the abundance in the world he's got data to it that shows that backs up how much abundance we have in this world.
Oh yeah, I'm a big supporter of the law of attraction, all of that. It all intertwines, the energy. It's true. It's just, I'm talking you can look at it from a scientific piece or other angles, but
yeah, I agree with that too. But this doesn't even this goes literally into education, and he has scenarios in there of true stories of a guy who went to a community who had never seen a computer before. He put a computer in the wall, behind a plexiglass, provided a keyboard, and left, and connected it to the internet and left. The kids came up and started messing with it. In a couple of weeks, they learned how to get on the internet. Or in a couple of days, they learned how to get on the internet. Then they start teaching each other how to get on the internet and how to do certain things on there. Then they start learning other things. Then it was amazing. I mean, water, it talks about how people, how they're bringing clean water to communities for like next to nothing, building these machines. I mean, it goes so deep into literally how many resources. There's more resource driven, from education, substance, water, food. It just goes on and on.
Oh, that's my takeaway from today. Then I'll be definitely be bumping that up on the listening list.
I'm telling you, it's a must.
Because I'm finishing my second read, because I already have the physical. Be Obsessed or Be Average from Grant Cardone, and I have he actually gave it to us at Thrive last year, and I'm finishing it a second pass through on the digital audio again right now, just because I just love his content. He just says it how it is. So
I've read that one. I've read
10X.
10X.
Yep.
And I've reached out to Grant to get him on the show as well. We talked a little bit, but we just haven't been able to connect. I just finished reading this book, and you talk about the reason we were talking about, workplaces.
Oh yeah.
This I'm doing because of work, because of the Arbinger Institute, leadership and self-deception. We're incorporating this into our lifestyle at work.
Sweet.
But I recently had a guest on the show, and Teresa. And here's what you were just talking about the mindset and law of attraction. So I told my wife, she curbs my book purchasing, man. I spend so much money on audio and physical books, but most of the physical books I have were given to me. from guests.
I've done the same thing. I'll shoot stuff by. I'll try and send. I've made a requirement now going forward. If someone's an author and they want to come on, dude, I want your book first because I want to be able to honor. Like, I want to understand who I'm bringing on.
Yeah, that's a good. I have not done that, but I'm going to do that. Sometimes, like Interview Valet will send me their book ahead of time. I'm connected with them really big with Tom Schwab and Aaron Walker. But I told Tracy, I said, I want to get this book, the 12-week year. And she said, okay, put it on the list and we'll get to it.
Nice.
So I had this conversation with Teresa and Teresa just happens to be, and she sent this card with it. Cool. Teresa just happens to be a certified 12-week year coach, I guess you'd call it. And she said, she talked about the book. And I said, yeah, that's on my list of purchase. She says, oh, don't worry about it. I'll send you one.
Wow.
I was like, what? So I got it for free.
Cool. Yeah. Abundance, baby.
This is my next book I'm going to read.
Law of Attraction and Abundance all together in one. I love it.
All together in one, man. Brother, I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely. This has been great.
This chat.
Yeah. Like I said, feel free to message me if you have any more techie questions or whatever, because I went through hell figuring it out, and then it's been seamless since the beginning. So
perfect.
I love helping people.
And I'll check out your kit too, man. Oh, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything we can do for each other. And if I know anybody who needs looking for guests, I'll hook you up, give them your information.
Absolutely. Same. And I'll do the same for you as well. And we'll share the crap out of our stuff. And am I supposed to come on your show?
Yeah, I think you already booked a.
That's what I thought. Okay, I couldn't.
Yeah, you already. I don't remember. I know I'm not taking any more. I'm all booked out through October, so I think you must have booked it out into October.
I think that's what it was. It wasn't coming up right away. I remember you saying that. So now I know why you were booking out that late. Yes, because there was nothing on your calendar until I think October.
Correct, and I really just kind of blocked out some time on my calendar through September. But I still have a few episodes that I'm going to be doing at like 4:00 in the morning, which is exciting. But
that's commitment. Well, yeah. Check out the kit. All of a sudden, the internet got wonky there for a second. Oh.
Where'd you go? Let me see. I think I know.
Yeah, there you go. Are you fine?
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just saying, when you check out the kit, compare the Zoom H5, not the same company as what we're on right now. It's two different Zoom companies.
Okay.
But compare it to the new Zoom H6. Because if I would get it now, I'd get the H6, especially if you plan on interviewing people in person, because it comes already ready to rock with 4 microphone jacks. And the screen the screen's in color and easier to read. The microphone transmissions as far as performance monitoring. Mm-hmm. So it's just, if I would buy it now, I mean, now you can get a Zoom H5 very affordable. But if you've never planned on using more than 2 microphones anyway, then just stick with the Zoom H5 and you'll save a few bucks. So,
yeah, I've had a few local folks that I interviewed local, and they were like, hey, you want to do it in person? I was like, that'd be great, but I don't know how to do that. And I don't think I have the equipment for it. And I know
this is all you need, dude. You literally walk in with that recorder, the XLR cables, and then you decide what length cables you want. If you want to buy a 3-foot or a 4-foot or a 5-foot, and microphones. Done.
Now, do you need the headset? Because are you talking over each other's mics, or how's
there's a headset jack. So the only thing I do is I plug in my iPhone headphones and I plug it into the jack, and then I'm like, test 1, test 2. He test 1, test 2. I'm monitoring it. Sound good? Cool. Take the headphones out and we just rap. And
got it.
And record.
Well, because regardless, you're still going to be talking over each other's mic. There's still going to be a little bit over.
Right. So I don't even want to deal with that. And you have to get the microphones I have on there are dynamic microphones, and which yours is probably dynamic. The whole point of dynamic is it's only focused here and not any noises around us. So I could be sitting at a Starbucks. You might hear their coffee grinder, maybe, but it's so faint that you don't hear any of that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Right. I'll tell you, I'm pretty sure this is the what was recommended, the audio, the ATR
2100.
Yeah, that one.
I have 2 of them.
Yeah, it picks up all kinds of stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, John Lee Dumas recommends it. It's a good average microphone, and you can get that microphone with or without an on-off switch. Get it without the on-off switch, because now whenever I use it, I'm always like, hey guys, make sure you don't switch your mic off. And it's just us and the recorder. So why do I need an on-off switch? So I should have got him without the on-off switch.
The good.
Yeah.
Another one of those things, man.
Yeah, man. Remove the
importance
human
of having
error.
a coach.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. So you're scheduled for October 3rd.
Oh, there you go.
10 a.m.
Oh, good. I'll be just getting back from Thrive.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Thrive is the end of the month there. So.
Oh, you'll be all pumped up and ready to go.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good episode.
That. Cool.
All right, sir. Well, let's get back to the day.
Yes, sir. Taking my boys to the water park today. They're still in bed. I can't believe my little guy's still asleep, but we were up late last night.
Go be a seal and drag him out.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna. They're pretty much used to that. All right, take care, man.
All right, take it easy.